So in today's video we travel from El Rocío, that we showed you around in the last video, the wonderful western type town in Spain, and we drive across the last little bit of Spain and into Portugal, and no border controls on the crossing, no police, nothing, all very clear. And then as we entered Portugal we drove for a couple more hours and headed into the western Algarve, where in today's video, which we were very excited about, we meet a wonderful off-grid family, Denise, Nick and their daughter Layla, and we spend 2 or 3 days on their land, which was very inspirational.
We are Those Weirdos, a family of 7.
We've been living, working and travelling for 2 years in our self-converted Sprinter van.
I have a chameleon.
We're driving to Portugal to find a bit of off-grid land to buy, then we're going to apply for residency and avoid the Schengen restrictions caused by Brexit.
We'll be filming every bit of the process, so you can come along with us and be part of our journey. Morning, very excited today as we're about to cross into Portugal, and we're just on the last stretch of the Spanish road before we cross over on the bridge which marks the border point. It's a beautiful view off the bridge, and about halfway is where we enter Portugal, and as we cross over on the other side there was no border control, nothing, no checks, just straight in and on our way to the Algarve, which is very, very exciting after all our mad dashes and drives over the last week. So we've just come up into the hills to collect a bit of water. There's one empty little village, middle of nowhere, courtesy of Goth's directions.
Empty. Sad dogs.
So this is Goth's secret park up. He's been here on and off many weeks, and it's called Turtle Lake. It's a tiny little lake up in the Portuguese hill, about 10-15 minutes from the village that we just got water from. We're roasting, so we're going to spend an hour or so here just having a swim, I think, if we've got the courage to get in that water. And then we're off to Nick's for dinner, who we've not met before, so that'd be nice. And Nick's got a little girl as well, so Rosie's looking forward to that. So let's see if I've got the courage to jump into that little green beast. I want that turtle cute. I think he's actually a terrapin, but it's nicknamed Turtle Lake. Not sure how many of those are in the water, but he's just sunbathing in the top.
So here is Dom, who doesn't swim. Doesn't swim in the sea because it's too cold, but a swim in a lake full of turtles.
It's really warm on the top, but when you swim and displace the water underneath, it's quite fresh.
Mind the eels.
Are there eels?
And the leeches.
Yeah. And the giant terrapins.
Hello, I'm coming in to join you. Now try out my slippers.
You hold my hand.
And then go forwards. And then swim. There you go.
And I'm swimming. Oh, this is actually quite chilly. Oh, but it's pleasant. Much nicer than the hot van.
Rose is having fun. Goth's got the chairs out. One's had a little paddle. I really like it here. It's a very good park up. I think it's on Dog for Night. It's very nice. So on a serious note, this isn't on Park for Night, so we won't be sharing it as it's a bit of a local secret. But it is absolutely gorgeous. So we'll definitely be back here. We've got about an hour before we have to go off for our dinner. From a sunny Portugal, and I hope you're all well. And I got up at 7 today, and we had a lot of comments on YouTube, so I took a couple of hours to get back to as many of those as possible. And just want to say a big thank you. Some lovely comments, lots of words of support, wishing us well on our travels. So just an update for you. We arrived in Portugal a couple of days ago, and we were travelling with Goth, and Goth took us to the Western Algarve, and after we stopped for our swim at the lake, Goth took us to meet a family who are exceptionally inspiring to us, and they bought some land about a year and a half ago, and it was basically 4,500 metres of land just outside a village in the Western Algarve. Particularly useful to us because when you're looking at property, it's not always easy to imagine what a particular square footage of land might look like. So it's given us an idea to work out what sort of size land we want. But we've made some great lifelong friends, I think, with staying with Denise, Nick and Layla for the past 3 days. We've had an absolutely amazing time. Some great chats in the evening over a glass of wine. We've all cooked for each other. It's been absolutely fabulous. Nick's been a stunning host while Denise was away. Showed us round his land and what he's got planned for the future, and what he's had to contend with fencing and digging swales for all the wet weather in the winter. And it's just been literally an amazing experience to help us on our journey when you meet like-minded people who are a year or two ahead of our plan to buy land. You can see what kind of things you can achieve. They're growing lots of vegetables, they've got fruit trees, they're keeping a few chickens, and they're living a humble life out of their motorhome on their own land, exceptionally happy. So it's been a really fabulous experience. So thanks so much to Nick and Denise for making us feel so welcome, and we look forward to extending that welcome back to you guys once we've got our land and you can come up and stay with us. So this has been our park up on Nick and Denise's land, parked by a lovely Spanish reed hedge which keeps the wind out, and in the day when it's hot the front of the van is very roasty. But on the other side by the hedge, it's nice and shady to sit in the morning, have a cup of tea or coffee. And we're parked over by Goth, who's just on their little driveway. And then over to the left is Layla's trampoline, which Rosie and Layla have had a great time on, jumping up and down. And also sitting there in the evening till late at night chatting. It's wonderful when Rosie meets a new friend, they've had such a great time. And then there in the distance you can see Nick and Denise's motorhome, which is where they're living. And they've created a nice outdoor area, like an outdoor lounge with shading. Sit there in the evening and have some food, it's very nice. And they've got lots of fruit trees in the distance there, and on my left you can see, a little bit unusual, they play and teach volleyball, so they've created their own volleyball court there. Nick spent a lot of his time creating this hedge partly as a windbreak, but also to give them some privacy. They're right by a little road which is not too far behind that hedge, but when you're driving past you can't actually see into the land at all, which is lovely. So they're quite close to the village, but still, despite being close to the village, very off-grid and very minimalist in their lifestyle, which is wonderful. And over there, where you can see the bushes by the motorhome, behind that they've got chickens and a little vegetable area, and all round all the trees there's all kinds of vegetables, carrots, radishes, lots of tomatoes, basil, and it's really great when you're cooking to just literally almost lean out your van and collect a few veg to cook your dinner. So I really like that. They were extremely lucky, as the little piece of land that they chose has got a number of differing fruit trees. So they've got a very old lemon tree here, which doesn't give them a massive yield, but it does have wonderfully fresh and strong lemons. They get a couple a day off that. And over in the back there, they've got several apple trees, several pear trees, some quinces, pomegranates, oranges, which is wonderful. And they've got 2 wells on their land, which, as I mentioned earlier, is essential for us to have at least one water source. This is a very old well which they've fenced in because it's quite deep and there is water in the bottom, but they've fenced this one off because it's their secondary or backup well. And they've got a old mine right near their motorhome, which I'll show you in a minute, which is where they collect their water from. So this is Nick and Denise's well, or water mine. So it's got this old contraption here that used to be pulled by a donkey. You would go round a circle of the water mine, which would bring up the water automatically. Today, Nick's doing a bit of watering, so we're going to pull out water from there. It's about, I don't know, 5 or 6 metres below where I'm stood. And they've got a lot of water in there. It's a lovely colour as well. So we're doing I think a 3-kilometre hike. It's a bit of a hill. I'm not match fit on long walks at the moment. I'm sat around in lockdown. So I think once we've got our own land, that's going to be a bit of a shock to the system. All the digging, hot walks in the sun, although there is a lovely cool breeze coming in. It's certainly beautiful here.
This one had a broom across.
Who's
They're a bit weathered now, but they were looking really good when we first arrived.
Hello mate, you're a bit hot. I'll clean you for you. What do you think? I'll
Can you
clean
stop
them.
licking my tongue, please?
Yeah, stop it
Thanks.
now. You're stealing my water, man. Sculptures behind me are just on the edge of the village. The sculpture lives in the house on my right. I think he sells some of his work, but he's put all these sculptures on the edge of his garden, going up into the woods. And really surreal art, but absolutely stunning. I think they're made out of fiberglass, some of them are made out of wood. There's his house down the bottom there, but he's a cool guy. So today we're leaving behind our new friends and leaving Goth behind, and we're slowly heading northwards to central Portugal, roughly to the Castelo Branco area, which is where we want to look for land. So it's about a 5.5 hour drive Google time, so probably 6.5, 7 hours. So we're going to do half today and half the day after, so that we're in that area Thursday evening. And then I think Friday we've got our first appointment to look at land, and we've got a couple of appointments on Monday with Melanie from Homestead, Portugal, which is a off-grid and property portal for the centre of Portugal. So I feel a little bit daunted by the land looking process, but I'm sure it'll be equally exciting. We're going to film as much as our viewings as we can, so that we can show you round the land that we're looking at, take you on the journey and let you know why we maybe want to buy a piece of land or don't want to buy a piece of land. We've set ourselves a little checklist so that we can prioritise the things that are important to us. For example, we can't have any land that doesn't have a water source, so that's a must for us, so that we can have a water source to water our plants and so on once we start settling in. We're kind of like a ruin or an old building as well, so it's really, really exciting. There seems to be a lot of property available, a lot of varied prices, but we've got other factors to consider, such as is it easy access, does it have some kind of 4G or at worst 3G signal so that we can upload and do work, and all those kind of things that you have to think about when you're buying any sort of property. What's in the local area, is it easy to get to the supermarket, shops, bars, whatever, and so on. So yeah, it's quite exciting. So we'll be heading off in a few hours and going northwards, and weather's been lovely. It's been late 20s, early 30s most days, sometimes a little bit hotter, but a really nice dry heat with a breeze that was cooling, so it didn't feel roasting. And then particularly nice, the evenings have been cool, almost a little bit cold, which is actually lovely, so you're not hot in bed. So I've been sleeping very well. And again today, it's a hot day, but obviously in Portugal it's pretty much hot every day right the way through till maybe even the end of September. So it's lovely and warm, and it's absolutely great to be here. So again, thanks so much for all your comments and all our new subscribers. It's been absolutely humbling. Had a lot of new subscribers in the last week since we've started our travels to get over the borders and get here to Portugal to start looking at land. So thanks so much for that. It's been absolutely wonderful, makes all the editing and the hard work really worthwhile, and it's so nice to hear so many people saying that we're inspiring them to do similar things or to think about doing things in the future, be that living on a van and travelling, or looking for land either in Portugal or Spain or Bulgaria or other countries. So thanks so much again for all of you following our adventures, and we'll see you again on the road shortly.